Texas fans got some great news earlier today when the Dallas Cowboys announced that they are hiring Derrick Foster as their next running backs coach. Derrick Foster is not Tashard Choice, which means Tashard Choice isn't going anywhere. We'll talk about what that means for the future of Texas football on today's edition of the BK Show. What's up, guys and gals? Welcome in to another edition of the BK Show. This is your one-stop shop for Texas Longhorns content on YouTube. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Texas fans, myself included, got a little nervous over the weekend when Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram and Texas Sports Unfiltered reported that the Dallas Cowboys had interviewed Texas running backs coach Tashard Choice for the same position with the Cowboys. There were some rumblings about the Cowboys being interested in Choice early last week. The rumblings seemingly got a little quieter as the week progressed. A lot of folks kind of just assuming that those rumors were just rumors and nothing more than that. But then Nick Harris on Saturday tweeted about the interview, and all of a sudden those quiet rumblings turned into loud worries for Horns fans everywhere. Could Texas really lose to Tashard Choice? Could they lose him to the Cowboys? Would he really leave what Sark has built here in Austin for that dumpster fire in Dallas? It didn't seem to make sense. But then you remember that Choice was drafted by the Cowboys and spent the first 4 years of his playing career there. And then you remember that he started his coaching career there back in 2016. And we all know how much Jerry loves his guys. Look at the head coach they just hired. If Tashard Choice was one of Jerry's guys, could he have gone? Well, thankfully, money talks. And thankfully, Texas has money. And perhaps even more thankfully, Jerry Jones has gotten incredibly cheap with the Dallas Cowboys in recent years. Tashard Choice was set to make $725,000 at Texas next season. He's going to be making more than that now. We'll get to some of those details here in a moment. But most running backs coaches in the league don't even make $500K. You think Jerry Jones, the guy who waited for Jason Garrett's contract to expire so we didn't have to pay a buyout, the guy who waited for Mike McCarthy's contract to expire so we didn't have to pay him a buyout, think that guy would reset the market for running backs coaches in the NFL? Oh, by the way, Jerry Jones also hired the cheapest head coaching candidate out there in Brian Schottenheimer. If you wanted Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn or any of these other dudes that took gigs somewhere else, you would have had to pay them a lot more. Brian Schottenheimer, cheap. Jerry Jones, again, not going to be the guy to reset the market for a position coach, considering how much he's been lowballing head coaches in recent years. He wouldn't do that even for a guy that he liked, like Tashard Choice, even for a guy that he drafted, like Tashard Choice. Like, he was going to have to take a pay cut to go to the Cowboys. And the Cowboys are a worse situation right now than the Longhorns. Texas has a lot going for them. Back-to-back college football playoff appearances, back-to-back CFP semifinal appearances. The Longhorns have things going in the right direction, and it feels like they are set up for sustained success for the foreseeable future. Meanwhile, the Cowboys, I used the term dumpster fire a moment ago. That might not be enough. It's more of a landfill fire going on in Arlington right now. They are a disaster, one of the laughing stocks, if not the laughing stock of the NFL world right now. So Tashard Choice, if he left for the Cowboys, he would have had to take a pay cut to go to a worse situation with less job security, by the way, because Sark's not going anywhere. He just signed an extension in Austin. Who knows how long Brian Schottenheimer's going to be the guy in Dallas. People think he might be a one and done, so Jason Witten can take over there. So I don't know too many people in this world in any line of work that would leave a job for less money, for a worse situation, and for less job security. Coach Choice agrees with me. He's staying in Austin. And back to the race thing, Clarence Hill of DLLS Sports. I got to slow down when I say that. He reported that Choice might be getting a new deal worth upwards of $800,000 in 2025. So again, the contract that Choice was on had him slated to make $725K this year. Sounds like that contract's getting ripped up. There's going to be a new one in place that could have Choice over $800K this year. It pays to be wanted. And oh, by the way, Clarence Hill also reported that the Vegas Raiders and New Orleans Saints also wanted to speak with Tashard Choice. I don't know if he ever interviewed there formally in either of those spots, but there was interest from more than one team. across the NFL. So Choice had leverage, and now he gets the money because of that leverage. And this is huge for the Longhorns. Big for Steve Sarkisian, big for Texas football, because it keeps things going. Alignment is huge in college football. Continuity has been huge for Texas football. Texas has done a great job of keeping its best coaches around. Some of it's skill, some of it's a little bit of luck, right? Texas is fortunate that Pete Kwiatkowski has no interest in being a head coach. That guy could have left after 2 years ago. He could have left after last year. He could have left this offseason. There are plenty of teams that would be willing to make PK their head coach. He's got no interest. He's perfectly content being a defensive coordinator, and it seems like he's more than content being a defensive coordinator at Texas. He makes a ton of money. He doesn't have to deal with all of the pressure that goes into being a head coach at a major college program. Kyle Flood seems to be the same way. Now, Kyle Flood's been a head coach in college football before. I think there's more of a chance he would leave to be a head man somewhere else, but sure seems like he's fine being the offensive coordinator right now. A little bit of luck involved with that too. Jeff Banks, still your special teams coordinator. All three coordinators that Steve Sarkisian had when he took the Texas job in 2021 are still here going into the 2025 season. That just doesn't happen in college football. I mean, look at Nick Saban, Steve Sarkisian's mentor. Of course, Sark left Nick Saban to take the gig in Austin. Nick Saban had to replace his offensive and defensive coordinators, it felt like, every single year. Kind of amazing he was able to withstand that and still have Bama competing year in and year out. You know what they say, high tide. It's a lot better when you don't have to do that. So Texas got a little bit lucky with the whole monkey gate and the pole assassin. Jeff Banks was about to get a head coaching job at Washington State. That story comes out. Jeff Banks sticks around. So continuity is huge. That's with the coordinators, but also with position coaches as well. Look, you've got some luck involved with the coordinators, but there's some skill involved with the position coaches. Team success is important, but also the way Steve Sarkisian treats people is important. All of these coaches have nothing but good things to say about Coach Sark. It matters, right? This is your boss. You want to work for a boss that you absolutely like, a guy that you enjoy spending time with, a guy that you enjoy working with, and a guy that you enjoy working for. Steve Sarkisian doesn't keep the continuity on his coaching staff that he has if he's treating his assistants poorly. So, yeah, Tashard Choice might have considered taking a pay cut, or hell, he could have taken a college job somewhere else for similar pay if he didn't like Steve Sarkisian. But a big part of why he's sticking around is he believes in Sark and what Sark has built and what he is continuing to build at UT. By the way, Tashard Choice, a lot of skill involved and a lot of money involved too with keeping this guy around, because he interviewed for the Rams running backs coach job last year. So this is not Coach Choice's first foray into the NFL. He's gotten looks in the past, stayed at Texas last offseason, obviously got more looks this year, staying in Texas at least for one more year, hopefully for a lot longer than that. This is big for the returning running backs at Texas, right? I mean, Tashard Choice is going to get the chance to continue the development of C.J. Baxter, who was the number one running back in America in the recruiting class of 2023. Of course, he missed the entirety of the 2024 season with a knee injury, but he looked pretty good. 659 yards, 5 touchdowns as a true freshman a couple of years ago. He was supposed to be the number one guy last season. Obviously, it didn't happen, but I think everybody's excited to see what C.J. Baxter is going to bring to the table. You don't want to stunt his development with a new running backs coach. What about Trey Wisner or Quintravion, whatever you prefer to call him? 1,000-yard rusher last year. I mean, Wisner was a 3-star recruit. We talked about Baxter being, 5-star, the number one tailback in the country a couple of years ago. Trey Wisner was like the 28th rated running back in the class of 2023. A lot of teams passed on him. Texas took a chance, in large part because Tashard Choice's evaluation. And then, oh, by the way, Trey Wisner goes for over 1,000 yards last year, in large part because of Coach Choice's development. You don't want to stunt that with the type of player that Wisner has turned into. You've got Jarrett Gibson as well going into his second season. And, of course, Christian Clark will be coming off that Achilles injury as well. So the Texas running back room has a lot of talent that was accumulated by Coach Choice. Those guys came to Texas in large part because of Coach Choice, and you're excited that Coach Choice is sticking around. And then, of course, you talk about the track record, right? What Choice has done since taking over as the running backs coach at UT. Bijan Robinson, Roshan Johnson, Jonathan Brooks, Keelan Robinson, all of those guys have been drafted. Jaden Blue is about to be drafted. That's 5 running backs in the span of 3 drafts that Tashard coached at Texas and turned into NFL picks. And then you go back to Georgia Tech, Jahmyr Gibbs, who obviously transferred to Alabama for the final season of his college career. But Coach Choice at his alma mater did great things with Jahmyr Gibbs, put him on the map, helped him end up at Alabama. And now Gibbs is dominating the league on Sundays, just like Bijan is. Rojo's making impacts with the Bears. Hopefully Jay Brooks can stay healthy next season so he can do some of that stuff with the Carolina Panthers. But yeah, you want that guy. He's got a track record of developing running backs. You don't want to lose that. And then you get to the recruiting element. Another reason why keeping this guy is huge for the future of the Longhorns. Not only did Coach Choice recruit all of those running backs that we just talked about, now not Bijan or Rojo, those guys were here before Tashard Choice got here, but the more recent guys have all been recruited by Coach Choice. He also was the secondary recruiter for 5-star wide receiver Ryan Wingo, one of the biggest gets for Texas in the class of 2024. A guy who's got a chance to be the number 1 receiver for the Horns this coming season. Yeah, Tashard Choice gets a ton of credit for the fact that Ryan Wingo came from out of state. Remember, he's from Missouri. Mizzou went hard after him until the very end. And I think in part because of Tashard Choice, the Longhorns end up getting the commitment and the signing from Ryan Wingo. So it's not just running backs that this guy can recruit. He's an ace recruiter, one of the best in college football. Hell, he was named Big 12 Recruiter of the Year for that class of 2024 by Rivals. Yeah, the guy's been really, really good. And oh, by the way, speaking of recruiting, Texas is very much in the mix for a couple of big-name running backs in the class of 2026, including Javion Osborne, who's a top 5 tailback in America. If the Longhorns lose Choice to the Cowboys or to any NFL team, they probably lose their chance at Javion Osborne as well. He's a Forney kid from the state of Texas. You don't want to lose the top players in your state, especially at that position. Keeping Choice big for keeping the opportunity to get Javion Osborne alive. And also the Longhorns are going after another 4-star running back, Amari Latimer. There's a few other names in the mix, but I know the Horns are in good standing with Latimer right now. He's from the state of Georgia. Just like Justice Terry. Texas went into Georgia, got a 5-star defensive tackle that Georgia really wanted. Well, Georgia has offered Amari Latimer as well. He's not the type of recruit that Justice Terry is, but still, if you can get a big-time running back from in the state of Texas and then go out of state into SEC country, into Georgia's territory, and get another running back, that's big. I assume Texas would lose out on the chance for Amari Latimer if they lose Tashard Choice. So this is great news for Texas. Now, big year coming up for Choice. He's getting a pay raise, which comes with increased expectations. The Longhorns didn't have a great running game in 2024. They ranked 71st in America in rushing offense. Now, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that C.J. Baxter and Christian Clark didn't play a single snap for the Horns due to injuries. But, from 2021 to 2023, Texas had the 26th rated rushing attack in America, the 36th rated rushing attack in America, and then the 25th rated in 2023. So 26, 36, 25. Those were the first 3 years of the Steve Sarkisian era. This past year, a bit of a step back. You'd like to see the rushing stats look more like those first 3 years than what we saw in year 4. But I've got faith that they will because of the return of some of these tailbacks and because of some of the development that we've seen from Coach Choice here at Texas. So take that, Jerry Jones. You can ruin your team in Arlington. You can't ruin ours in Austin. And it's the right move for Coach Choice. We talked about this in a previous video that we did when we discussed some of the rumors. So my TV screensaver goes off behind me. Would have been a bad move for Tashard Choice for a number of reasons. But also, look at Stan Drayton, the old running backs coach at Texas. That guy went straight from that job to a head coach at a Division I FBS college football program in Temple. Now, didn't work out. He got fired a few years later, but he got head coach's money, got the chance to coach a major college football program, or at least a Division I college football program. And he got a nice little buyout, too, to leave Temple. So I think in terms of rising through the profession, staying at Texas, the right move for Tashard Choice. So great news for Longhorn fans, great news for the Longhorn running backs, and great news for the future of Texas football. The Cowboys tried, but ultimately Tashard Choice turned him down. He's coming back to Austin, getting a nice pay raise to do just that. Love it. Want to hear from y'all below. Comment with your thoughts. How big of a deal is it that Tashard Choice is staying in the ATX? Let me know. And also comment with ideas for future videos as well. This channel's all about y'all. Always want to hear from y'all. Thanks so much for the continued love and support. If you made it this far, don't forget the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we start the march towards 2,000 subscribers. Not even a month into the BK show. Can't thank y'all enough for the early love and support. Remember, when you watch the BK show, you rule. See y'all tomorrow. Hook 'em.